Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. I'm joined once again by my wonderful friend, Rebecca Nicholson. Hi, Rebecca.
Hiya. Nice to see you again.
So nice to have you on the podcast again. Today's episode, you guys will obviously know by the title, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on your hot girl walk or when you're commuting to work or getting some chores done. We're talking all things business launch and strategy when you are also in full-time employment. I feel like a lot of people in these sort of startup phases of their business are integrating it alongside a full-time career. Tell me a bit more about your experience of this. What have you launched and how's it been?
So I have launched The Life of Luxury, which is a luxury lifestyle magazine focusing on fashion, beauty, food, drink, travel, and we're going to do a little culture section as well. I launched it earlier this year. I've had the domain for over a year now, and I was just holding off because I have a full-time job, and I was thinking, I don't have the perfect time for this, But when do I ever have the perfect time?
I just feel like it's never possible, is it?
The timing's never going to be perfect, and you just have to just do it, and that was my plan. And I wanted to do a launch party for digital, and my plan was to be completely digital. And my plan was to do a big launch party, and that was when I would launch the website. I had like a bank of articles ready to go. I'm going to sit this way a bit so I can see you.
That's all right.
I had a bank of articles like in the blog ready to go, and I wanted to do a launch party, but I didn't have the funds for a launch party, and I thought, I'm holding back waiting to get funds when it's not going to happen. I just need to publish. So I published online, and I've now got 4 regular reporters doing 3 features a week. So it's like 12 features a week. And then I also have myself. Alice also contributes sometimes.
I do, guys, in the beauty section.
And then we also have some ad hoc freelancers. So we have a lot of output per week, but I'm still have my full-time job. And there is a lot behind the scenes to make sure that I'm keeping on top of the Life of Luxury, and it's really difficult, but it's where my passion is. For those that don't know, I'm currently at Yahoo UK as their maternity cover for Head of Lifestyle, which runs out in September. So I've been working on the Life of Luxury, and my plan is to go full time with Life of Luxury in September.
That's really, really cool. So obviously maintaining not only your full-time job with a publication that is demanding in terms of its, you're not going to be switching off and suddenly opening a laptop and starting to write. You're in the journalism industry in your 9 to 5 and then in your 5 to 9. Tell me a bit more about your work-life balance and your time management balance between clocking off from one publication to another.
That was something that I really struggled with at first, because it wasn't just 5 till 9, it would be 5 till midnight, and then I'd go to sleep and wake up for work, and I'd start work at 8 a.m. and I wouldn't finish working until midnight every night. Obviously I start work at Yahoo. I don't focus on the Life of Luxury in the day, because Yahoo is where I get my bills paid, and that I think is so wrong. It's not my contract. So I work on Yahoo all day, and then in the evening I finish at 4:30 and I log off. I have about half an hour where I do some cleaning, get dinner prepped.
Switch it up a little bit for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I do cleaning, dinner prep, because like throughout the day I don't have time to wash up or get my stuff ready from lunch or whatever. So I sort that out, and then I prep dinner, and then I go straight onto my personal laptop and start working on the Life of Luxury. And then I also work on Life of Luxury on the weekends predominantly. So time management has been difficult, but it's something that I'm got much better with, because if I don't get it done, it doesn't get done.
So tell me a bit more about the scaling of the publication, because obviously Life of Luxury as a terminology covers a wide range of categories, and as you've said, you've got a wide range from travel, beauty and culture. How have you been able to curate content that not only resonates with your audience but stays true to like the ethics of your publication? Because obviously building a publication that is not only reliable but trustworthy starts from a clear voice, a clear tone and authority as well. So like, how have you continued to curate that whilst also working alongside something else that might have a slightly different tone to what you're trying to create.
Yeah, so they're two completely different tones and two completely different angles. So whilst they're still lifestyle, they're completely different. So Yahoo focuses on health wellness, a lot of like health stuff, but with the Life of Luxury, I've been focusing on, like you said, the travel, the beauty, home. I think the best way to describe it is that I had to keep me in the Life of Luxury. I didn't want it to be, obviously our readers are high net worth readers, they are affluent readers, but at the same time a lot of luxury lifestyle magazines that I've read are unobtainable for the everyday reader as well. So whilst a lot of our consumers are high net worth, that doesn't mean that we need to have an air of sobriety in the way we write. We still write with normal journalistic standards. We're trustworthy and unbiased, and that is the kind of way that we've gone forward with it. We're inclusive, so if we do a fashion article, we make sure that the fashion brand is inclusive of all sizes. If we do a beauty product, we try and make sure that it's inclusive of all skin tones, because luxury isn't just set for one consumer, and we want to make sure that everyone feels included in the Life of Luxury.
That's amazing, and that's a really beautiful sort of testament to the overarching vibe that you're creating with the brand. What skills would you say have been essential to scaling and building a publication from scratch?
I think you definitely need to have experience in journalism. If I hadn't have had experience in writing and experience in editing, I would not have been able to do it. I had to create my website from scratch myself, just because you don't have the funding at first. There is going to be a time where I am going to change the website once I have that set in place, but my current focus is on print, which I'm going to print next year. But I would say if you wanted to start your own publication, you need to make sure you have the domain, the Instagram handles, find a catchy name, something that resonates with people, and make sure you harness your contacts. And if you don't have contacts, make the contacts before you start your business, because a lot of the girls that I've made friends with in the PR business are the girls that have helped me the most so far in securing content.
Amazing. And sort of in terms of the readership of the publication, particularly in such a digitally saturated market, how do you develop that authority and dominance in such a competitive landscape?
So I've had experience in SEO previously, so I've been really focusing on SEO the last few months. When I started with it, I was just focusing on the content, and as much as the content was just lovely and amazing, it doesn't translate into views unless you are harnessing SEO. So I spent a lot of time on each article to make sure that our SEO practices are 100% before I publish, because otherwise you will not be discoverable on Google. And I'm trying at the moment, and this was where my mistake was, start the social straight away. I started the social a few months after, and a lot of people think that we have a smaller readership because our social following is much smaller, which is not the truth. We have more of a readership online than we do on social.
Now, what does that remind me of? That reminds me of my podcast, when it took me until series 2, halfway through series 2, to realise I needed an Instagram, and then I worked out I wanted a certain appearance and I wanted it a certain vibe. So I calculated per episode I had to create 5 posts.
Yeah.
And I had probably about 50 episodes. Just crazy.
But this is what I mean. I think because, like you said about the time management, like our focus was 100% on the project.
It is.
And wasn't on the social. And considering we have our socials separately.
Yes.
And I was focusing on that as my personal social brand, and then I had the Life of Luxury. I was focusing on the Life of Luxury itself, and I wasn't focusing on it as the brand. I was focused on it as the website. And I think I should have focused on the social to begin with, because I'm getting a lot of brands coming back saying, oh, okay, well, you're a startup. Yes, I am a startup, but they're like, but you don't have enough following to do this. And I'm like, but that doesn't mean I don't have the readership, because I do have a good readership. I just don't have the social following yet. So give Life of Luxury a follow, please.
Definitely. I'll pop the social information in the show notes and also description as well. Tell me a bit more about that balance, like you say. So something that you really wish you'd done from the outset was set up social. I would agree. I would say if you're going to start a brand, think about where it's going to be in a year's time, 2 years time. Is it going to have socials? Well, obviously. So start it.
I wish I started, last year when I got the domain and I got the Instagram handle, I was so afraid of posting on the social media channel, on like Instagram, for example, of other people I knew seeing and finding it and seeing that I'm creating a magazine before I'd even launched the magazine. That was what my main concern was, and I don't know why I was so hung up on that, because if I had just started just following brands and posting on it, just general things, I would have built a smaller community before I properly launched.
Definitely. I feel like these are all the things that you can learn, and hindsight's a great thing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who maybe isn't necessarily going to be starting a publication, but is thinking about the journalistic space as a place to launch something? It might be a publication, it might be a blog, it might be an Instagram. What sort of things would you say are notable skills or things that you wish you'd done, and were there any setbacks?
I would say if you have the opportunity to do it full time and put your all into it, take that and harness it. But if you're like me and you have a full-time job at the same time, you have to focus on the full-time job because that pays the bills.
Definitely.
But the main thing is time management and prioritising what needs to be done. I think you can overwhelm yourself with whatever your project is. If you're going to launch a publication, a blog, you can overwhelm yourself with a million tasks because you're putting on, as the owner and founder, a million hats. You're not only the founder, you're the editor, sometimes you're a writer, sometimes you're a social media manager.
Sometimes you're dealing with finance.
Sales direction, like accounting. You're doing a million hats at once. And if you add all those into your list every day, it becomes overwhelming. And for someone like me, if I have a million things on my list per day, I'm not doing anything. I will get overwhelmed by it. So I would say if you're just going to do it like me in the evenings and on the weekend, set yourself 3 to 5 tasks and you have to complete those by the time you go to bed.
I love that.
And also with like sales, there's a huge kind of, you have to have with Yahoo, if I hadn't have joined Yahoo, I wouldn't have been so closely working with the sales team. I'd worked previously with sales teams, but I hadn't worked so closely with sales teams until I joined Yahoo. And you definitely, if you're going to start your own brand, you need to have some experience in building decks to advertise to brands, for them to advertise for you, to sponsor a post or advertorial or an ad in your magazine. They are hard to do, but if you haven't got experience, just work on that deck over and over
Explain
again.
to me what a deck is, because I feel like there might be someone watching or listening going, I really want to do whatever a deck is. What is it in a nutshell?
It's kind of like a media pack. If you don't know what a media pack is, a media pack would be all about your brand and all about like your readership, who are your readership, your demographics, your stats and everything. But then it also is a deck for them as the brand of what editorially you would do for them and where the advertisements would be. So if you were going to do a hub, for example, on your, I was doing it on Life of Luxury, if you wanted a hub for a brand, like, I don't want to say a brand, say for example you're a beauty brand and you wanted a hub on the beauty section, I'd create a separate tag and I would show them in this deck how I would create the separate tag, what it would look like as a hub on the Life of Luxury, where the ad placements would be, and editorially what we could create that would link back to them. They could have an ad the whole way around the page, or if it was in print, they could have a whole, next to the beauty section, they could have a whole print page of an ad, or they can have a spotlight section sponsored. So basically in the Life of Luxury we have a spotlight section for each of our pathways,
categories.
yeah. We have a spotlight section for each of our categories, so there'll be like top spotlights for travels in this quarterly, we're doing it quarterly, in this quarterly issue, beauty, food and drink spots, so they could sponsor at that. But it's a deck would be showing everything to them and why they should pay you the money to do it, and you have to kind of get on a sales hat and sell. And as someone that has never done that, that's been the hardest part because I had no idea what to do.
Almost like formulating that pitch to yourself. It's almost like being on Dragon's Den.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Every single time, it's like you're on Dragon's Den and you're talking to 10 sharks going, this is why you should pay me X amount to sponsor this article. It's difficult because if you don't have experience in that, it's daunting. But equally, the sales girls find the journalism side daunting. So
that's really interesting. So I feel like everyone's got their knowledge and their niche. What advice would you give to someone maybe starting out today and thinking, okay, I'm ready to develop that idea into a business? Is there anything that you would action first? Would it be the social media and just making sure you've got all the accounts and all the names? And
yes.
What would be the first port of call?
Yeah, make sure you've got the domains, the socials, start posting. And I actually spoke to an SEO expert recently. Although I have done SEO, I would not call myself an SEO expert. And he said that with your domain, make sure, like, once you launch, if you had the domain online longer, Google will push your domain more because it's a longer domain. It trusts you. So if you have a domain and you haven't published it yet, just publish it with a fake page because Google...
Just have it there chilling.
You just have it there chilling because if you're say for example I did this, I just published my domain with articles ready to go thinking that's my launch. Didn't realise I probably should have just published the domain last year. So that's an interesting fact.
That's really interesting. I feel like there's so many little nitty-gritty parts to building something like a publication and also scaling something whilst you're working for somebody else. What would you say to someone that might be doing that and might have got themselves into trouble?
Prioritise where your money's coming in, because if you've got bills to pay, your bills can't get paid if you haven't got money coming elsewhere. So prioritise that, and you need to have the best time management going. Make sure that you're prioritising in the day your full-time job and you give yourself time to do your work in the evening. But I got in the state a few months ago where I was just every single day I was just like so exhausted from working until 4:30 and then working till like midnight on Life of Luxury, and I was just like, I don't want to go anywhere or do anything. I'm so drained, and you have to give yourself time as well. So the last week I haven't really done much.
But also not lose the joy and the spark and the excitement for the business.
Yeah, 100%.
So just like almost like leaving yourself a little gap to almost have an appetite for the thing that you're creating.
But I think that's a good point actually. I think don't start something unless you're passionate about it, because there's going to be a point where you're really tired, like I just said I was, but I haven't lost the passion for it because it's something I love and have always wanted to do. I think if I'd forced myself into doing something just because I thought it was a good idea, I would hate it and I would have given up by now. Because I've done that a million times. I've started things and thought that's a good idea, I'm going to give that a go, and then like 2 months later I'm like, oh, leave me alone, I don't want to do this. But I actually have always wanted to do this, and it's a big passion of mine, and it brings me joy as I'm wearing my Marie Kondo trainers.
Yay, amazing.
Something that sparks joy.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
It brings me joy. So even when I'm tired, it's not as if I'm hating it. I'm just like, oh, I'm just really tired, but I love this.
And what would you say to somebody who maybe has lots of ideas and like you has tried different avenues, things maybe haven't stuck? How can they let go of that resistance of maybe letting go of one idea and allowing something else to come in?
I would say if you're super passionate about something and you know deep down, if you just like the idea and you're like, oh, you know, I really like this, it's not the same as having a real passion.
And also owning and running a business.
You're never going to be upset about your passion and running that, whereas you're going to resent something not doing well, for example, to begin with, if it's not your passion and you're just doing it just for success. Success will come and shine through because it's your passion. If you're passionate about something, you're going to put your all into it, and it's more authentic, and people can see that, I think, when they're consuming it.
Definitely. Well, it's been so wonderful having you come and talk on the podcast. I know we've done quite a few episodes with you now, which is really lovely, and I feel like if you guys go back through the archive, you'll probably see the growth and development of Rebecca and just how things have changed. I feel like it's really exciting to see you scale and develop in this new direction, and we'll have to have you back on when the publication is launched.
Thank you. you. Yes.
In print.
Yeah, in print. I'm launching in print in January 2025.
Which that will probably fly by.
Yes, I'm just in the middle of talking to some brands for advertisements and when we're going to be retailing. And then it's going to be a quarterly issue.
Incredible. Well, I will link all the information to the Life of Luxury and obviously Rebecca's channels below. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, guys. And thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me again.
Yay.
Bye.